Hello, and welcome to another episode of Sneaking Into Movies. I'm your host, Chris, with my co host, Jason. As always, how are we doing today, Jason?
I'm good.
Okay, doing good. All right, we are going to be reviewing the movie Kill. It is an Indian movie released technically in 2023, but like we usually see, movies, international films that kind of pick up some steam, gain some success, usually kind of make their way out to the West. And so in 2024, it was kind of released onto platforms that we'd see here in the States. All right, so Kill, Indian movie. Jason, why did you choose this movie to watch?
Um, I don't know if there's a name for it, but for people that love French culture, they're Francophiles.
Francophiles, yes.
I love everything Indian.
Yeah.
My YouTube feed has like Indian news. I love everything Indian.
Mhm.
There's 1.4 billion people. Like Birdman says, put some respect on their name. They don't get enough credit. They really don't. They don't get enough credit, and their Bollywood is, I think, the fifth biggest kind of
Right.
market in the world.
Right.
So I saw this trailer, and immediately I went, "Wait, this is a movie I got to see." And now we're reviewing it.
All right. Well, there we are. I mean, that's a good point to say that. Like, I have known Indian cinema as more, like you said, Bollywood, a little bit more like musical kind of big production. I'd watched some old it's an old director kind of came out, kind of established Indian cinema. Ray, hold on, let me see his name. I'm always Sat. I can't pronounce it very well. It's Satyagit, Sajit Ray, who made a lot of classic films that you'd see like on the Criterion Collection. I think that's how I first kind of came to see Indian cinema. But then we've just kind of been in the background for all these years. Now, where we live in Florida, continue to be a growing Indian population. So every time you and I are going to look at what's playing the AMC, used to be like they'd have like one Indian film playing, then two, and now there's at least 4 or 5 in that kind of lineup at AMC. So to that point, yeah, we have to like dig in a little bit more because this is like a proper action film. I mean, this is a Hollywood type action film, well executed, just well put together. And it did really well. And so that's why we're talking about it and kind of seeing it here. So, okay, good choice. So let's start with that. It sounds like you would recommend this film, but what do you think as far as an overall? Recommend it to your friends or not?
I would. I was gonna say, if you love action, watch it.
Yeah.
But I'll be perfectly honest. It's it's a little silly. The beginning's a little silly, but probably about 25-30 minutes in, it just splashes on the screen where it says kill.
Yeah, exactly.
And you go, oh, now it's coming.
Right.
I would definitely recommend it. Don't shut it off in the first 30 minutes because it drags a little bit. But this isn't a normal Bollywood movie, so it's not 3 hours. There's no insane dance and choreography scenes and singing. There's none of that. This is just an action movie. I think that it's a very good introduction to Bollywood for the average viewer that maybe you've seen those movies on Netflix where they have it just pops up and you go, why are there 37 Indian movies you're trying to recommend? Watch this and then you're going to go, okay, we got to watch some of those. So yes, recommend.
Yeah. Okay, well, that's excellent. I mean, this was I do agree as well. I mean, it's interesting. I kind of had to take it in 2 parts here because I was watching it again upon your recommendation. Was enjoying it, some of the action, and then it took a little bit of a turn down to like gore, and I found it like shocking. I mean, it was like, whoa, okay, like excessive violence, gratuitous violence, like really hardcore gore in the middle, and then your response back, well, the name of the movie is Kill, Chris, so let's kind of par for the course here. I don't normally seek out like horror or gore film, but the action, I think it was just well done because when you're doing something in a confined space like that, it took place in a train basically the entire time. Whenever movies take place in a confined space, a submarine, other famous train movies, it's hard to fake the action because you're in those like close-up shots. You have to choreograph it well. And the sheer amount of just those scenes and choreography is just well done. Okay, so we liked it. I mean, it did get a 90% Rotten Tomatoes score, so we were certainly not the only ones. And then obviously a big box office, so made its way. So okay, good, successful film. Kill did very good. Okay, next on my list to talk about is the action itself. So plenty of those action films. You sort of described it as like a bullet train, a type of movie, which a little less humor here in this one, but certainly in that same sort of vein here. But I thought the action was great. I mean, I don't know enough about the actors and directors to speak to their kind of previous work, but yeah, it was very good.
Well, I have to tell you that I know you just said it wasn't funny, but there was one scene in there where he killed a guy, not the bad guys killed a guy, and he said, "What was his name?" He said, "They were like, oh, his name was Ronaldo," and he's like, "What? I love Ronaldo. I wouldn't have killed him." And I was like, "Oh, that's okay. That's their kind of humor." It made me laugh, but as far as action goes, it was, I don't want to say over the top because I've seen some over the top movies.
Yeah, okay.
This was well within. It's less over the top than John Wick movies, actually. Very good choreography. I don't remember who did the fight scenes, but he did another big movie too. So it's not like it's not like a kung fu movie from the 70s where it's just random dudes. This was well choreographed. And
it was. Mm-hmm.
The gore was a surprise to me. I'll be perfectly honest.
It was a surprise. It was certainly a surprise. No, when you're going with a revenge film, much like John Wick or those other stories, like what was the other one? Was it Nobody that came out a few years ago? Same type of thing. Whenever there's like a revenge and you take away something that someone loves and cares for, there will be a sort of equal reaction, like a physics kind of reaction here. Okay, let's talk about the directing. Now, the director's name, and I'm going to preface all of these pronunciations as a pre-apology of not pronouncing it right. The director is Nikhil Nagesh Bhat. I looked him up. He's done a few TV shows, a couple of films, but this is, in my mind, is sort of his first sort of like big film foray into it. I thought he did a great job. It's a tough balance. Like you said, you're trying to make a commercially viable film, so you want to have it be fun and entertaining, but also have some other threads in there, like romance, kind of a heart to it, some of the sort of archetypes of a story with revenge and good and bad and those kind of things. But I think he did a great job. Great thing, and I want to kind of keep looking him up, and we'll definitely seek out some of his other films. What do you think of the directing?
I thought he was able to, once it turned into the movie Kill, the beginning was just exposition. Oh, let me tell you, it's a love story, a forbidden love story. And then it turns into the movie Kill. But he didn't forget that there was another story there. So it didn't go straight into the action and then it's just a bloodbath for 60 minutes. He weaved in, he weaved in income inequality kind of slickly, where it's the really rich dad and they're kind of like, this is, we had a plan, but let's stick it to the rich. And I thought it was well done. It could have been a little shorter. I could have cut 10 minutes off the beginning. I didn't need all that. And then just jump straight into the action. But there was one scene where he's going through. Oh, spoiler alert! Sorry.
Oh, spoiler! Yes, the whole film.
They're all spoilers.
If you have not seen the film, it's come out a year ago. It's sorry.
You're running behind. There was a scene when the villain goes into the train car, and you see all the bodies hanging.
That's literally on my notes to talk about. That scene was excellent. Yes.
And I was like, wow, that's. I don't think that reminded me of a Lord of Hobbit or Lord of the Rings when they're in the cocoons or the spider's webs.
The spider and they see later.
Yeah, and I was like, wow, that's really well done, and especially again, it's on a train. There's not how many different ways can you kill somebody on a train? There's no guns. He doesn't have a gun, so he has to figure out ways to keep it creative while the body count goes over, I don't know, 40 people. And
Yes.
I find that he was effective in that.
He was effective in that. Yes, that is a great scene. It's slightly impractical how a man who has been sliced and cut and beat up and tortured for most of the movie is able to lift heavy men up on, above him on a train. But I digressed. It was visually very appealing and quite fear-inducing. I'm sure if you were the other side of that. Okay, well, that's section. Let's talk about the acting here. I mean, first time seeing some of these actors, but I wanted to call out the leads and then one of my favorite character actors in it. Okay, the lead actor, his name is, when you have a one-word name, you're doing something right. Like, his name is Lakshya, Laksha. One name. I mean, he looks like a Hollywood type actor. I thought he did a perfectly good job. The action was great. He delivered everything kind of well. I believed him with the love story. So, check mark to him. I definitely thought he did a good job. What'd you think?
He was good. He was
Okay,
good. You could swap him with Dev Patel in Monkey Man, and I wouldn't know the difference.
Okay. Well, Dev Patel is taken. He's got a busy schedule. So, if you can get the backup Dev Patel roles, you're doing something good, something good in this world here. Okay, so he did a fair enough job. Yes, maybe a copy and replace of other people, but I could see him be, kind of holding his own in other type films. And I imagine when this movie continues to do well, he might get some English speaking kind of parts, just because of popularity there. The main antagonist is Raghav Juyal, Raghav Juyal. And as we talk about Indian cinema, it seems that, Jason, you and I will need, me specifically, some pronunciation classes here because, again, doing a bad job here. I thought he was a very good, villain, kind of counterpart to the sort of protagonist in it. Definitely believed him. He had his own bit of revenge going on with some surprising moments. I'll save some of the spoilers of who dies, but some surprises along the way. So I thought he did excellent. What do you think of him as the main kind of villain?
I like the villain a lot, actually.
Yeah.
He was bloodthirsty.
Yes.
But you even saw like his soft side when he had these daddy issues, and his dad's basically like, I don't care, just do what I say.
Right.
And he's like, I'm a man, I can make my own choices. But there's another funny thing where he's kind of ruminating over what's happening, and he said, I killed 4 people.
Yeah.
You killed 40 of my family members. And I'm just going, wow, this I really like the way that they are. One is a poor guy. He's poor.
Right.
He's out there robbing trains with his entire family. It's a family business. They're all it's uncle and cousin.
Yes.
Now, I don't know if that's uncle like they do in India where they go, uncle, everybody's uncle.
Auntie, yes.
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, but they were saying cousins, so I'm going to assume they were all related.
Yeah.
And you see he's that working class kind of guy, and he's also up against a working class soldier.
Right.
And
right.
so you see the two people kind of battling over the princess, basically. They're battling over the princess, and I'll let you figure out who wins in the end. I'm not going to ruin that part. But yeah, I thought he was a very good villain.
I did too. I think the acting so far, all good, all the henchmen. Now let me just kind of take a little tangent here. I've always felt this weird sort of empathy to like the henchmen, because it's like you're just part of that family. You're a cousin. It's like, hey, we're going to get on this train. Come with us. And sometimes you just sort of like gotta go. Maybe your job prospects aren't very good, so you're just part of it. And then you're gonna die, get stabbed to be a part of something you didn't even want to do on your day off. Like, I just feel sort of bad. I've always felt bad. Like, even the stormtroopers on the Death Star, there's this whole bit in Clerks about it of like they're just doing their job and showing up for a shift that day, and it's like, just like this guy is plowing through henchmen. It's like, man, there's no regard for human life here. So anyway, yeah, let's move on. There was the main actress. Her name is Tanya Maniktala. I thought she was excellent. Beautiful, those eyes, beautiful giant eyes. I thought were excellent. I think she's been in some other films. I looked up on IMDb, but I thought she played her role, that sort of princess role, fairly well. I believed her to be an upper class in that sort of cast, and then cast with the SCASTE. Little culture there for you. Thank you.
Pun intended. Pun intended.
Thank you.
I think they're high cast. They're the high cast.
Yes, well,
like Kamala, they're the high cast.
Yes, that's funny. I believed her. The one person I want to point out, this was not in the main billing, not in the main kind of stars, but I had to go look him up. It was the uncle that showed up a little bit later, a little bit darker complexion and that mustache. Ooh, his name is Ashish Vidyarthi. Ashish Vidyarthi, the uncle, awesome actor. Like, I love a character actor. I thought he was the most committed and earnest to the whole thing. Evil, but also committed to, like, we got to just finish this process. And he's like, at one point they said towards the end there, all the police are looking for him. He's like, let's just get off the train. And they're like, they're not going to stop looking for us. Like, given the nature of who we've been after, they're not going to stop. So, Mr. Vidyarthi, great job. I'm going to keep looking you up. And these are the type of films, I'll just kind of say this, is like when you're watching, a film that kind of, again, transcends, kind of makes its way into more popular cinematic kind of circles here, you just kind of forget you're watching a film in Hindi. Like, the language sort of dissipates when what you're seeing and the action is good and the story is progressing along. You don't get kind of lost in that. And I think that's a good sign of, like, when cinema to kind of it transcends those kind of language barriers. Like, same way silent films used to be able to kind of just the accessibility of them across the world. Great films can do that. So I thought that was excellent here. I want to talk about the next topic here, and then related here is movies that have taken place in confined spaces. I'm talking submarines again. The multiple train movies, taking a Pelham 123. Throw Mama from the Train, if you remember. I'm just kidding about that one. Murder on the Orient Express. Anytime you have something on a ship or a train or a vehicle that's moving, speed even, the classic speed, I think it requires almost more skill because you're less using like sets and pieces and sort of like that sort of space of the screen to kind of keep your story moving along. And you're really leaning on dialogue and acting and character development because it kind of takes that sort of space out of it. So I thought this was even a higher degree of difficulty, like being on the train. Like I said, you can't hide, can't fake the action, can't pull all the punches there when it's in a confined spaces. So Jason, where would you put Kill of movies in a confined space? Where does it sort of fit into your other your ranking?
Man, there's a movie. It's sort of similar. It's called The Raid.
The Raid was excellent. In one building? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's a it's a vertical and not a horizontal thing, but they're going from floor to floor to floor to floor. Yeah. Action. I hate to put this in a foreign movie bucket, but it had the budget of a foreign movie. Like, let's just be honest. Yeah. I believe that if this had the budget of one of these straight-to-video movies that they have shot here, it would have looked a lot better. Yeah. Acting still would have been what the acting was. But I think that this was well executed.
I agree.
It had the drama of... It had more drama than a submarine movie.
I agree with that.
Yeah, it had more drama than that. Speed is kind of up there. Speed's
up there. Yeah.
The action in we're not going anywhere else. We're all it's right here. Plane drama. It's up there kind of plane dramas. Air Force One.
You know what? Okay.
Passenger 57.
I'd put it up there with That's so funny. It exceeds some of those and goes into like plane level type of ranking there. That's I would agree with that.
Can I tell you something funny real quick?
Please.
So Donald Trump had an older brother, Fred Trump.
Yes.
And he was a pilot. And Donald and his father used to make fun of him, and they would go, "Oh yeah, he's a bus driver in the sky."
Oh.
Right?
What did they call is it Spirit or Frontier? They call like the Greyhound of the skies.
Probably Spirit.
Spirit. That seems more apt. It's funny that it has definitely changed like that. And that's the other thing I was going to say. I have this written down here is like, I have not been to India yet. I too love the culture, grew up with it. If I'm not mistaken, Jason, can I take you back to the 80s? Do you remember this name? His name is Rishi Morathi.
Yes,
do you know that name?
I went to 6th grade with him.
Okay.
I think he's a doctor now.
Of course, Dr. Morathi, the son of a noted cardiologist locally here. So Jason,
his brother's a doctor too.
The Morathis, very successful here in town. So I, grew up, went to school. I'd go to Rishi's house. And so it's just interesting. He taught me how to play cricket a little bit, which I never knew as a kid. But what's so interesting to me, and Jason, your house has this too. Whenever you have family from a distinct place, the smells of the certain spices of those cuisines, just like
curry smell,
it permeates, man. So like all of my Indian friends growing up, it's like similar smells from the islands, similar smells. Europe. It's like I love that sort of part of like, just seeing friends' cultures of like you can go to their house and it kind of triggers those sort of like I know this.
Yes,
this sort of smell.
Now it's in vogue. Ethnic food is in vogue, but I'll be perfectly honest. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, why does this smell like that? What are you eating? There wasn't a lot of acceptance of foreign foods, which I find like much like the cinema now. People are more accepting.
Right.
Dare I say culturally appropriating a little bit of culture vulture action going on. They tried sushi and then all of a sudden it's everybody eats sushi. That used to be our thing. The Japanese are saying that was us. And now they're going, oh, okay, so now we got to make dumbed down American versions of everything. Okay, cool. Let's get this money. But
that is a American tradition, a tried and tradition of taking cultures and just sort of, perfecting them as that.
Can I mention one thing? I want to mention something about there was the undertone, or not even an undertone. It was a theme, was the income inequality. And there was a wedding. I want to say
yes, just
what's his name? Anant Ambani and Radhika Merchant. Their wedding cost $600 million. 600.
Insane.
They gave all of the groomsmen AP watches that were like $140,000. Mm-hmm. There's our billionaires are, of course, they have huge compounds and huge boats, but they're a little less ostentatious. They like to pretend to be. I'm just like you, like the Donald Trump thing. I'm just like you. I fly on a jet just like you. I own it, but I fly on a jet just like you. The idea that there's people that have that much money,
right,
and are willing to show it, that kind of makes me feel this movie's a little more truer than I would believe here. Here it would be you're kidnapping a rich person's kid. Okay, yeah, in the end you're going to get caught. Here I don't really think the ransom was the point. The point was to make these people that are 10,000 levels above you feel the pain. Because even in the end where they're like, let's go. We're done, right? And they're like, no, we got to finish this.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I've seen, forgive me, it may not be their house, but one of the most affluent families in India had built a mansion on top of a skyscraper. So if you see it, it's like this multi-layered, like just palace in the sky there. And it may be that family here, but yes, it's
it probably that. I saw something where Anthony Bourdain was there, and they went to a building, and it was a skyscraper, and one person owned the skyscraper and had all his family in there.
Right.
And I went, oh, that's okay.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? I do like that when there's undertones. I usually like the class thing of like in Parasite. Remember Parasite, the Korean film from a couple years ago? Same type of thing. I love that dynamic and showing that. I thought that, yeah, maybe there was a thread. It wasn't like as overt, maybe, that sort of part of it, but I thought that, definitely ran through there. One thing I was going to say is like, again, not been to India yet. Much like how watching Jaws too many times has created some psychological scarring of me going back in the ocean, I'm not sure I'm going to want to go on a train if I ever make it over to Delhi there. Not just from the, triggering of just like the mass murder that happens, and then the guards were just like kind of asleep in the other train car with their like bayonets, not paying attention there, but also just the amount of like, maybe it's the fear of like confined spaces or the crowds there, but that's a lot of people.
This was a different kind of train robbery movie. So for anybody out there that's watching, this isn't that kind of train robbery movie.
Yes, this is not that kind of train movie. And be prepared halfway in for excessive gore here. Okay, Jason. The point of this, we all like the movie. Well recommended. Directing was great. Acting was great. Again, Mr. Vidyarthi, fantastic acting for me. We need to seek out a little bit more Indian cinema to make sure we're, not missing out on some of the great movies coming by or kind of coming through, especially in this area that we're getting to see. Jason, any final thoughts on Kill, 2023's Kill?
I would say I highly recommend it.
Well, Jason, let's give it a star rating. You gave it. Let's give it a star rating. What do you got out of 5?
Okay, out of 5, I would give it a 3.5.
A 3.5. Jason, I'm going to go with a 4.0. I'm going to round it up, a 4 out of 5. Action for what it was. When a film is attempting to achieve a certain level, and then they do that, I have to respect it. Did it like transcend, or I picked up on some of the class threads, but did it evoke a deeper feeling for me? Not necessarily, but for what it was, an action film, well acted and executed, perfectly well done. So I'm going to give it a 4. You give it a 3.5. Very good. Okay, Jason, any final thoughts?
I would say that this is a market that should be tapped.
Okay. Well, we expect it to
this is a market that should be
grow.
Tapped.
And like you said, I mean, I think food and cinema are ways for different cultures to kind of like spread across the world. There was a note, sorry, I guess unrelated to this, but there was I saw a thread on this. There was a noted, like very direct effort on the behalf of Thailand, like tourism authority, where they basically sent restaurateurs out throughout the world, throughout this, US and UK, to set up Thai restaurants and to start selling like pad Thai, the national dish. By doing that, by planting those seeds out there, people came to know that cuisine and then started to travel there. So I think, the powers that be in the Indian Tourism Authority or whatever are purposefully continuing to use cinema as this sort of like welcoming mat for the rest of the world to kind of get them to see like the diversity that exists in there. So,
spreading the curry leaves around the world. Spreading the curry leaves.
Is that a saying? But I'm not sure if that's noted.
I think I just made that up.
Jason,
the curry that you eat, the powder, it does come from leaves, like they're actual leaves.
Yes, Jason. Thank you for that.
Well, I didn't know if you knew that. Oh, I forgot. You're ethnic. You're a big fan of the Indian food. So
yeah. Now I like to say, Jason, who am I to be like? I prefer to use the term international over foreign. I think it has a little bit better connotation too. But Jason, you got to live here. So all right, we both liked it. Great film. We're going to continue to seek out different Indian cinema reviews on this podcast. But thanks for listening, everybody. Stay tuned for the next episode where we'll be talking about Fly Me to the Moon, Twisters, or some other modern film that has just come out that Jason and I watched. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Bye.
Okay.